So most of us grew up hearing all about the great Australian dream. The dream of owning our own home on a quarter-acre block in the suburbs. We get told to study hard at school, get a good job, save our money, find a good boy or a good girl to marry, and buy a home to raise our kids. Some of us have decided that that's the way to go, while for many of us, it couldn't be further from the truth. Either way, many of us have decided that our great Australian dream is underpinned by purchasing a home. Most of us have a clear idea of where we want to live, and typically it's more expensive than we had hoped. Even the suburbs a little further out are more expensive than we thought. So we bite the bullet and buy something anyway. We've now spent too much and spend the next couple of decades on the back foot trying to stay ahead of the game. Let's take the example of John and Mary. They want to live in the inner city suburb of Evansville. And in order to buy a house in that suburb, they need to pay at least $700,000. They decide to move to the inferior neighbouring suburb Hellsvale and find a property for $600,000. They use their savings of $90,000 as a deposit and pay the stamp duty and other costs. They take out a 25-year principal and interest loan of $540,000 and it costs them approximately $840 a week. Mary's sister Kate and her husband Peter decide there's a better way. They decide to rent in Evansville for $550 a week and decide that they will buy a property as an investment somewhere else. They sit down and do their numbers and find out that they can comfortably afford to buy a $450,000 property as an investment. They borrow $405,000 and it turns out that the property costs them only $60 a week to hold. That's right, $60 a week. They're pleasantly surprised and realise that with their borrowing capacity and the minimal holding costs, they can buy two of these properties. They're now in a situation where they own $900,000 worth of investment assets, costing them $120 a week, and they're living in their preferred suburb for $550 a week. Their total cost is $670 a week. John and Mary, on the other hand, are living in a suburb they don't want to live in, have $600,000 worth of assets, and it's costing them $840 a week, which is $170 more than Kate and Peter. When both sets of assets double in the coming years, Kate and Peter will have $1.8 million worth of assets, while John and Mary will have $1.2 million worth of assets. So it turns out that in today's world, the great Australian dream may not be what it's cracked up to be. The world has changed and the way we use our money is changing with it. The great Australian dream has now become about lifestyle and smarter decision making. Clearly, Kate and Peter won that contest hands down. If you want to find out what your numbers might look like, contact us today. Your future may be brighter than you think.